everybody and everybody is different. You guys understand the difference I'm making?
Yeah.
Like everybody, everyone, and
Everyone's got different
everybody,
bodies.
every human body.
Everybody's body.
Everybody's body.
Everybody's body.
Everybody's body. Everybody's buddy. Oh, oof, God.
It's just getting like, this is getting so just like, I'm just like the ghost hands from like, just Patrick Swayze, just everybody's ghost buddy. It's, oh my God. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Martial Mind Podcast. We are three training brothers of Shaolin Kung Fu, talking about how Kung Fu interacts with our life, relationships, and everything else in between. And today, we are going to be talking about basics.
The foundation of all martial artist technique and all of the things that they learn and the way that they train is our basics. So for a lot of people, like, you cannot train the basics enough. It really is so important. So Ed, you as a Laotier, I mean you too, Ryan, but we'll start with Ed.
No, it's all right. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, fuck him.
I love training 10 years to be an afterthought. That's good.
You as a Laotier, what are some basics that you try to imprint on your students consistently every class?
Well, first and foremost, let's rephrase that because they're Qigong students. They're not my students.
Okay.
I'm just helping.
Right.
But so the first thought that I have is something that Qigong brought up the other day, which is that you see basics done in a lot of karate schools, which is why they look sharp and precise, and you don't see it done a lot in Kung Fu schools. And we notice this with a lot of the Bushido stuff that comes out, a lot of the standard ideas about what Kung Fu really is. The reason that Qigong considers the way he structures classes and has taught me to structure class the right way is almost a little bit related to the way that you see a traditional karate school. Where you'll see this. My elbow popped.
Yeah,
I heard that.
That did not sound good.
Where you'll see that we just had Black Sash class and I'm still sore.
Yes.
Where you'll see all of this so they can work their precision. You see their forms are very tight and precise, right? So Kung Fu, and I'll get to the point, Kung Fu is considered a soft style, right? And so what does soft style really mean? I think soft is...
It's baking.
Soft is right here.
Soft
right
bake
here.
Entenmann's cookies. Soft isn't the right word.
Chocolate chunk.
Yes.
Soft is really... What it really means is malleable, right? Because as we fight, we instead of crashing through, which you can crash through, but it's more about being that loose t-shirt around your opponent, being able to mold your technique to in response to your opponent, right? In basics, teaches you how to put these things together, and a lot of Kung Fu schools. Sorry,
I'll just move it close to your chest like that.
Yeah,
there you go.
A lot of Kung Fu schools get lost in form, and they don't understand what the form means. So, go right now to the Authentic Shaolin Kung Fu YouTube channel, because Qigong is actually coming out with a new series, which by the time this episode is posted, it'll probably be a couple videos deep into it, called Form and Function, where he actually took Xuan Yi, First Fist. It's the first form that Wushu stylists learn, but it's an actual martial Shaolin form. And the reason that they learn it is because it gives them kind of an idea of what their forms and techniques are supposed to look like when they're performing and doing their stuff, right? But he took a bit of it and he threw me around with it. And it shows you really how form relates to function. Now, without your basics, you're not going to be able to take your forms and break them down, right? I had a client the other day ask me about coming to the school to learn self-defense, and he was like, you guys don't do like kata, do you? And I'm like, well, we don't call it kata, that's a Japanese word, we call it form. But yeah, we do. And he was like rolling his eyes. And I was like, you don't understand the importance of it. It teaches your body how to move, right? So now, most Kung Fu schools don't do basics the way that we do basics. And the reason that our class structure is structured the way that it is, and it's not just like every skill level, because like you'll see some schools where it's like Sifu's to first A, all in the same class together. And the reason that can't happen here is A, there's a level of physicality that is required to be, that is required to be a black sash in the school. And secondly, there's an understanding of movement that you attain over time that like you just won't be able to cut it. If you're just like in the back of the room, you're going to be totally lost, right? So yesterday I taught I teach the beginners on Monday nights, and yesterday I structured class in a way where I took basics and I mixed it up, right? Where we normally have a basic order that we do things in that teaches us how to use our techniques from the ground up. Where even though, like, just like in karate, you're not going to be sitting in your mabu and you're going to be doing your techniques like this, as we're going through our blocks, I'm going to hit the mic, as we're going through our blocks and our strikes and our different techniques, we're obviously not going to just be shifting from low stance to low stance to low stance. What we're doing is we're teaching our bodies how to pull force from the ground up.
Yeah, just don't touch me again, but that's okay.
No, there's no
Just actually don't touch me, though, but that's okay.
Do not consent.
But yeah, so we're actually learning how to pull force from the ground up, and we're also, because of the stances and the way that we're striking, changing the composition of our. Did you just fart?
No,
John's stomach farted.
My stomach makes noises, and I forget people can hear them. So yeah, sorry about that.
I was like, is that a fart? No, it was from inside John.
That was just some stuff moving around.
It sounded like if you buried like a live mammoth in the backyard.
This is 400 feet away. Don't worry about him.
I saw a post. I can't corroborate this, but I saw something about they cloned dinosaur legs into an embryo or something like that, and it's like Jurassic Park is another way to do it. Tim Kennedy posted it.
It's prophetic, is what it is. It is prophetic. Now,
one of these days.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be dinosaurs.
If the meteor doesn't come first.
I mean, I remember in 2001 they unearthed that woolly mammoth and they were taking samples from it. Like, whatever happened to that?
I can get into that, but let's stick to the point.
I did have another question for Ryan, unless you want to wrap up your thought.
Yeah, I'd like to wrap up my thought.
Yeah.
So as we're going through these basic techniques, we're teaching our tendons, our ligaments, and our muscles to work together and to work as one unit. Much similarly to the way that you should be practicing your Tai Chi to learning how to move the whole body as one. But now, instead of doing the basic pattern, rising block, middle block, fan grapple, pressure down, I switched it up and I had them do a few techniques together.
Right.
Rising straight invert, rising straight invert, teaching both sides of the brain to work together and teaching you how to use differences, and I skipped a couple blocks here and there. We didn't do every single technique, but I also wanted to add in a little bit of the animal style so they could start teaching them how to work their tiger strikes in their basics, how to work their pressure strikes into their basics and really utilize them. And then what we did was when we did kicks, we, instead of doing the basic, okay, 2 front kicks, okay, 2 roundhouse kicks, okay, 2 side kicks, okay, 2 spinning back thrust, we went down the floor and learned how to string our kicks together. And then we ended with an eagle kick, which some schools, I think, call it tornado kick. But like our eagle kick is a jumping, spinning inside crescent kick, kicking with the inside of the back foot as you step. Yeah, as you step, turn, and spin. And not even so much to say that you're always going to be using these big spinning kicks in combat, but what they do really teach you is coordination. And that's what the most important thing is. So if you're not stressing your basics, if you're not learning your basics, and if you're not drilling your basics, you're not going to understand. You're going to be more of a athlete and less of a killer. And that's really what Kung Fu is for. Sifu Rule talks about this all the time, that his style of 7-star praying mantis has actual proven history of its use in special forces and in combat. And our system was taught on Parris Island to the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And Sigong taught air marshals. So you really can't say Kung Fu doesn't work around the people who are teaching us Kung Fu, because they know the real stuff. And you have to think, I think I've said this before, and I talk about this ad nauseum, so I apologize. But if the monks were in combat and you tried to break them, they would try to bruise you. If you tried to kill them, they would try to break you. And if you're trying to take somebody's life and you use your techniques, and that's their karma. They chose that path. Not to say that that's the first thing you should do, because some people are just like, you see some self-defense videos that are just insane. You know what I mean? Like, take your car keys. They came up to you and said hello, jam it into their fucking eyes. You know what I mean? Like,
well, as the Canadians say,
sorry.
Sorry.
Excuse me. All of a sudden, I went to go make a joke, and I had some phlegm. As the Canadians say, you fuck a boot, you find doot.
Oh my God.
Now, Ryan, I'm
kind of glad we waited for that one.
Yeah, I know we needed a little bit of build up, and I need medicine apparently. But
John needs a new throat.
I need new body parts, many. But Ryan, I did have a question for you. How would you say that your basics have changed throughout the years? Well, first of all, I need to ask, have your basics changed over the years of training? If they have, in what ways have you fine-tuned them?
They have definitely... It's kind of... I'm trying to think how to answer that.
I don't think he knows them all yet.
I'm still working on counting, mainly. Like the numbers. Like the letters that you use for math.
Yeah, that's hard.
You know what I mean?
I
The number alphabet.
I know some numbers.
The letters that you use for math.
I'm really not good at I'm looking at letters, not the math letters. I'm not good at those yet.
The word letters are in math too. It's really like
Are both of those? Can you find both of those in soup, or only one of them in soup?
Oh my goodness.
Which one's the one you eat?
Dude?
Which one's in broth?
Dude, I find letters in my chili.
What?
What? What number is a chili bean? I don't know what a chili bean is.
I'm chili man.
I'm just recently brain damaged, so excuse me, I'm frazzled.
Yeah, John was at least mildly concussed yesterday, but we can get into that as well.
That was pretty cool. We'll talk about that later.
But I would say the biggest thing with my basics is the biggest thing that has changed with them is of course some level of refinement over time from you just the sheer amount of time you're practicing them over like a 10-year period. They're just going to, improve. But the thing is it is hard to, you don't really get a good indication of how much you have improved, because along with them improving, one of the most important things that also keeps you humble but also is very important for continuing kind of on that martial journey is your level of scrutiny. And your kind of refined understanding of what to scrutinize when you're looking at technique. Again, when we I brought this up. We were talking about the private lessons. Segung talked about how, when you first start, and same thing with like basics and the beginners. It's like it's all about big movement. Get the general gist down. Understand the continuity of the movement. But then as you get to a higher level, it's like no. It's like your hand is like this, not like this. Or like even like when we were doing working on Shani Chuan, number one, and it was like the hand placement. It's like, it's not by the elbow, it's a little bit further up. Like it's not, like stuff like smaller things like that, where it's like, you're like, yes, you're gonna make those minute changes to beginners, but it's much more about them getting that basic flow down, and then as you get higher up, the level of refinement increases. So that's been the biggest thing for me.
It's funny you say that though. If I could add to that, because I had this thought earlier. In the truck on the way here, when I was listening to some guys talk about some MMA fighters, and I'm thinking to myself, like, it's so funny, like in our forums, how a lot of schools, because the human body of all shapes, colors, and sizes is spiritual and biological artwork, absolutely. Which is why we love to watch the body move. We love watching dance. We love watching gymnastics. We love watching people do forms. We love watching people fight. That's why it's called a martial art as well. It's artwork. It really is art. And because of the artistry of movement, people get lost in the beauty of forms and they forget what they're doing. And so because of that is why you see a lot of Kung Fu stylists, that their movement looks beautiful, but to the trained eye, you can see that there's no martial intent behind what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to address that point as well, because that there's something interesting there that I want to say. But
there's really nothing interesting that you have to say, but that's fine. So you can continue.
The level of snark is out of control. We are peaking.
This is how Ryan and I are at all times.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
We're just like catty old women.
Yeah.
You cannot tell your friends from your enemies.
You're like one of the only people that like we can make really bad fun of each other, and I never feel it emotionally because I know you're kidding.
Yeah, of course.
You'll just feel it on the mat later.
We're just like old like country club women wearing white gloves. Like, oh my god, you look so good, even though we put on weight. Like just saying like weird. Like even with the weight, you look great in that. Like just like weird. Like
this casserole is great, but it needs salt.
Yeah.
You know?
Backhanded compliments.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's almost as good as the way my mother made it. You know,
that's far off. Then that's just. But yeah, so that I would say that is the biggest thing that changes is your mindset and outlook on your basics. Because again, if you get complacent with them, then you think you're better than you are, and then that's when you get your ass kicked, or you get you just get kind of like shown up in that way.
Which is why sparring is so important.
Well, yeah, spar. And also I think the biggest thing that's changed on top of that is how let's say people like me and Ed practice our basics, because like when you're starting, of course, you're always working, like the basics. Like if we're on a bag, it's like, okay, yeah, working leads, working reverses, things like that. But then it's like, okay, now I'm trying to not like for a white sash, but like, okay, I need to work on the structure of my lead of my lead reverse. I have to work on the structure of it, how to move my body properly to do that. And it's like, could we always use improvement on refining that? Of course, but that's not something we need to learn how to do anymore in the sense. So now from there, I'm focusing on working on perfecting that, but now I'm thinking about what my sash level is indicating me to think about, which is, okay, now I got to focus on applying this in a sense of moving around my opponent. Let's just say, okay, so I'm making sure I'm striking to 2 different positions. Is my footwork in the right place when I'm moving? As I'm moving, I'm taking count of, okay, am I engaging my hips in the right way while I'm rooted to get the most power while being mobile? And that's something that like a white sash isn't going to think about. They're just like, how do I hit with my 2 front knuckles and turn my hips enough to, and I'm not, I fucking hurt my wrist on that one. It's
oh my God,
it's a different level of, you're just layering, you're making lasagna is really what we're doing. We're making Kung Fu lasagna.
And that's actually that actually ties right into the question I was going to ask. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Were you going to say something?
Well, yeah, I was nothing positive. I was just gonna be like, it was a fucking troll the other day. We were working out live with our teachers. We were working out live, and some fucking asshole posts on.
He definitely
like,
doesn't watch this
you guys. I hope he does. I hope he sees it. Like, you guys look like shit right now, and it's like, we're hitting the bag for 40 minutes.
Dude.
You think every fucking technique is gonna be good just because you're used to going on YouTube and watching a fucking highlight reel of every awesome shot that every professional fighter has taken? If you just had a live stream of 45 minutes of workout, you're gonna see like a lot of guys. We do this too. You're winded. You're 6 rounds into your workout, and you're like, okay, I want to work on this one shot. Breath, pop, pop. Yeah. Breath, pop, pop. Or you're going to work out how we were working out, where you just keep going and keep pushing.
Yeah. Literally, just
why are you guys so tired? It's like, oh, you're black belt, because you don't get tired.
They're not humans anymore.
You're not a fucking human.
You
being
don't
anymore.
sweat. It's like, what?
Do you only watch anime? Like, you not have any fucking idea how shit really works?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
And that
One Punch Man, I can do 100 bodyweight squats and 100 push-ups a day, and I'll be a fucking superhero. Yeah. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
And that's the thing too. Just a quick aside, Johnny, is the
I'm good. I'm okay.
Ed's fine.
It's fired.
Ed's
up.
really okay.
Because it pisses me off. I want to fight all those people.
But it's so. Yeah,
well, luckily we do that.
Yeah.
So because that's really what it was that when we started, it was like a 45 minutes to an hour basically like live stream on or live like TikTok video of us just working out. It was just like camera in the corner, us just working out. So and
skipping the first like 20 minutes of stretching, warming up, and doing buckets and horse stance. Yeah.
It's and that first whole hour of our like 3.5-4 hour black sash class, the first like hour and a half was literally just bag work. So it was just 3-minute round of bag work, minute plank. 3-minute round of bag work, minute plank. 3-minute round of bag work, minute plank. I mean, I think our first water break was like a full intermediate class into black sash class. It was like
roughly. It was about 2 hours in. I think we had an
something like that.
Real water break.
So for someone to be like, oh, like you guys looking tired? It's like have you ever not even fought? Have you exercised before?
Yeah.
Like
have the average person plank for a minute.
Like is the idea that because and again I think it is that again it's that internet bullshit martial arts standard of like keyboard warriors, but it's also again it's we get put under a microscope because we are kung fu stylists. Again, it's that idea of like I was talking to Sigung about this idea of like doing more type of like the fighting backwards video or stuff with gloves on, stuff like or like again like we spoke about like those longer like just fight training vlogs basically, where it's like so it can be normalized and people can see that like kung fu is like when you think of like their outer rim of like martial arts. It's like, all right, we have MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and like karate. Like, okay, I get that, punching, kicking. I can understand like Lyoto Machida, GSP. Okay, I got that. But then it's like kung fu is totally, they think satin outfits and they think,
it's in the stratosphere for them.
Yeah, where they don't see the fight training. They don't see the like what you would potentially see in like an MMA gym of us like, throwing each other around, doing like grimy fucking bag work. Hey, we're just literally gonna hit the bag with our right elbow for 3 minutes and then do a plank, then do it on the other side for another 3 minutes, and just do shit like that repeatedly. They don't see the grimy in the trenches fight training that we do. That's just like that a lot of people, I don't say nobody that because fighters do this shit, but like people who train hardcore martial arts, but like that people don't want to fucking do that shit. No. They don't want to do that.
No, they don't want to do that shit. And it's just like Rogan was talking to Portnoy Rogan was just had Dave
El
Portnoy.
Presidente.
El Presidente.
Prez.
One bite, everyone
and
knows
like,
the rules.
I like him. I think he's funny, but he's also a fucking douchebag.
Oh, he's totally a douchebag.
He's absolutely.
And
a
it's
douchebag.
like
this is fair.
Rogan was screaming at him. He's
Oh,
like,
shit.
"Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck!" They're talking about boxers. They're talking about boxers. He's like, "That guy's not a boxer." That guy's a legit. He's talking about Tyson Fury's brother. I forget his first name. He's talking about
Tommy Fury.
Tommy Fury,
Tommy
yeah.
Fury.
He's like Tommy Fury's not a fucking boxer. He's like, "Shut the fuck up!" He goes, "You're high." He goes, "You're fucking high. Tommy Fury is a fucking boxer." And he's like, "Look at him. He's not a fucking boxer." He goes, "Why?" Because he doesn't have like every fucking champion. And you know, this is coming from like I know, like in the traditional martial arts world, Rogan has talked a lot of shit, and a lot of traditional martial arts people have opinions about him. But I get it, you know what I mean? Like, and as far as much shit as you want to talk about, like Taekwondo not using their hands, like he was the Taekwondo world champion, so like he knows.
And Joe Rogan is pretty open minded. Like,
And he's more open minded than people give him credit for.
Absolutely,
and he has been part of the UFC since the '90s.
And his
you know?
spinning back kick is fucking deadly.
Taught GSP had a spinning back kick.
It's so
It sounds like a
badass.
howitzer. It's
Oh
just
my
like,
goodness!
like a
It's
field weapon.
Cannon. Like
he's also got like a
bang!
55-gallon drum of HGH flowing through him at all times. But that's besides.
I think he's probably just on test. I would imagine.
I think he's
probably
just supplementing test. Yeah, I don't know if he's full on juicing. He's not bloated enough.
All I'm trying to say is that Dave Portnoy isn't a martial artist and isn't a boxer and doesn't do any of that stuff. Yet he's full of opinions.
Yeah,
I think that's
Is the point that I'm trying to make.
That's a solid representation of the wider general public too.
Yeah, which is the exact point that I'm trying to make.
yeah.
Right.
The exact
Not very
point that I'm trying to
knowledgeable,
make.
full of opinions.
Right.
Right.
Right, and it's those that wider mass of people. When they enter our school, if these people do enter the school, they start out as beginners, and you start to realize, like, yeah, you really don't know a lot about this, and you're about to find out.
And
Oh,
it's
dude, I was a monkey fucking a coconut for like 7 years.
and it's not only the excuse me, physical challenges that could potentially sift you out of the school. It's also your mindset and your character. If you come in and you're just like, that doesn't, because again, we're also at a school where like if you don't think something works, you'll have it be worked on you.
Yeah.
Is basically what it is.
Yeah, we'll show you that it works.
But again, being curious, being inquisitive is one thing. Being egotistical and having sort of an arrogant type air to your questioning is different. That's not the same thing. But what were you going to say, John? With your question?
Just following up on that too, just coming to the school and acting as if you know when you're a student, inappropriate. But my question for Ed was, what are some common mistakes that you see in complete novices? Some things that you have to correct all the time in order for their fundamentals
So like
to
your
be...
experience in teaching beginners, I guess.
Yeah, like what are some things that you need to correct pretty consistently in order to make somebody's fundamentals appropriate or adequate?
I say this when I work all the time too. Like everybody and everybody is different. You guys understand the difference I'm making?
Yeah.
Like everybody, everyone,
Everyone's
and
got different
everybody,
bodies.
every human body.
Everybody's body.
Everybody's body.
Everybody's body.
Everybody's body. Everybody's buddy body. Oh, oof, God.
It's just getting like this is getting so just like
was-
everybody's booty body.
That was it's like one of those.
I'm just like the ghost hands from like just Patrick Swayze. Just everybody's ghost buddy. It's, oh my God.
Just getting sucked into the couch.
So anyway,
Oh my God.
That was like the verbal equivalent of the hills in a motocross race. Like, Right, so
Anyhow.
what's your answer?
Jesus
my
Christ.
jeans are getting so high.
Oh my God. You gotta take your kids to soccer practice soon.
His jeans are from like the Dick Van Dyke collection.
Oh my God.
Showing a lot of ankle there,
There's
brother.
a lot of. Yeah, it's literally.
So like I was saying, everybody is different, everybody is different. So I really can't honestly say, like I'm really grasping at straws here trying to figure something out. I mean, like everybody flares their elbows. I'll give it to you that. Like a lot of people flare their elbows. A lot of people fight and they want to fight like this and they don't realize that they're leaving their ribs exposed and they need to bring it in because it's more difficult. People have a hard time learning how to move their bodies unless they come from a different background. And even Jenny, my fiance comes from a dance and gymnastics background. And
some dance-nastics.
Well, look at her move. She can throw great butterfly kicks.
Jenny's a badass.
She can do awesome cartwheels and round-offs and all that kind of stuff. But then have her go hit the bag, and she's got a lot to learn, Like, there's a lot of hand techniques and stuff that she has difficulty coordinating at her level, but she's exactly where she needs to be
Right,
at her level.
That's the main thing.
Which is the point, you know what I mean? Right. She's exactly where she needs to be at her level. And that being said, like, everybody's going to have their challenges. Everybody's going to have their thing that's difficult for them. Ryan is very talented as far as, like, light skills. You know what I mean? Like, I have pretty good punching power.
It's pretty good.
You know what I mean?
He's pretty good.
It's okay.
It's all right.
It's all right.
It's kind of shitty.
I mean, like, you know, it's okay.
Yeah, John.
Just slowly getting worse. It's not good, actually.
John's a tank. John can John can take a hit and he can deliver. He can deliver a lot of power with his legs. A lot of power with his legs. You actually have better power with your legs than you do with your hands. But you still have good power with your hands just because there's so much. There's mass.
There's so much John behind it.
So much John.
So much John behind those John fists.
A lot of me, brother. Brother. Wow.
Brother.
But what I'm saying is, like, you know, like upper body strength. I shouldn't even say punching power because someone's going to listen to this and he's going to be like, I don't know. But, like, you know, upper body strength. I am more talented with upper body strength. And, you know, like, and he said to me the other day, I was talking to him about, like, this is what's a beautiful thing about having the close relationship with our Sifus that we have is, first of all, it took a long time to earn the close relationship that we have with them. So you don't think you're going to be walking in and being like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on, Mr. Zilb?" You know what I mean? Like, it's just not. It's not going to work out that way.
What's good, brother?
I can't even say his first name. That's why I said Mr. Zilb. It's like too weird to me to like say his first name.
Even me saying that was odd. It's too dumb, you know.
Yeah. It's I mean, like, it's his name, you know. But like, I remember 11 years ago. It'll be 11 years in June.
Wow. 11 years.
11 years in
11
June.
years in June. I'm trying to hide the New York over there.
You're doing great.
But
You're doing
I'll get you some coffee real quick with your water.
Up. Let me get to the point. So it'll be 11 years in June. And I remember calling the school and me being like, "Oh, what's your name?" He was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm Greg. You know, just come down and try a class." And that was the first and last time I ever called him Greg.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. And
that's the kind of respect that you have. And you have to have that respect over a certain period of time for them to let you in, you know? Yeah. And now it's a point where I can say stuff to them I don't say to other people. I can not even vent, but like I can talk to them about issues that I'm having, and they can give me honest answers and honest opinions. Human being to human being, not just like you're going to listen to me, you're going to respect me, but like have real conversations with them. And I remember when we were driving down to North Carolina to Sifu Josh's school. What up? To Sifu Josh's school to meet them. I had not yet to meet them. I was actually, full disclosure, I was telling him how jealous of you I am. I was talking to him and I was like, you know, like I've had to bust my ass and work so hard. I had that fucking knee injury. I had all this shit, and it's like, and you'll not train for 2 weeks and come back and look exactly how you did. And like, if I take 2 weeks off, I come back, I can't sit in a horse stance. It's just my body just, like I said to you the other day, I was like, my body was made to sit on the couch and eat potatoes. You know what I mean? Like,
I fucking love potatoes.
Just full potatoes.
Just full raw potatoes.
Just boiled potatoes.
What is this, Minecraft?
Yeah. Just eating ingredients of meals.
And he was like, and he almost reiterated it yesterday. We were having a conversation about talent and talented people. And it was basically the same thing twice, where he was like, everything you have, you had to earn. He goes, and so nobody can take any of it away from you. He goes, because some people walk into the school, and this has exactly to do with what you're talking about. He's like, some people walk into the school and they just get certain things. They just get it. It's in their DNA. It's in their blood. It's in their whatever. You come from a track and field background when you started at the school, so you never really lost it because we do all these springing exercises that you were already doing as a long jumper and as a sprinter. You did sprints, right?
Sprints, long jump, and triple jump mainly.
Right. So you come from that. So your light skills have always had a natural advantage over mine, where I used to get hurt like every time I did light skills. You know, he's doing rubber bands, and I'm like, one kip up, you know? And other people have to fight tooth and nail for everything that they have, you know? And he's like, and so that being said, like, you had to fight for and earn everything that you have, so you should feel good about that. You should feel really good about that.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, some people are going to come in to a school, and they're going to be naturally talented at certain things. Other people are going to come into a school and they're going to be completely inept and uncoordinated and off, just off. But you can't sleep on anybody, because with enough work, enough discipline, enough dedication, they could go from 2000 and what year was it? 2023.
Currently,
what year was it?
Last I checked, it was 2019.
They could go to 2012, Ed. They could go to 2012 ed and they can become 2023 ed. And those are two entirely different individuals. Right. Very, very different people.
Absolutely.
You know?
Enough heat and pressure.
Physically, skill level, emotionally, spiritually. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If I didn't go through it, and now to the people who are listening to this who might be thinking about starting or worrying about looking like shit or looking like, I don't know why I use that analogy so much, but like just the idea of like a monkey fucking a coconut is so hilarious to me.
It is hilarious.
That's really, like that's exactly what I feel like half the time. I'm trying to learn forms that I don't understand.
Has it made it inside the coconut?
No,
is it just the outside?
That's the funny part. It's like, how does this work?
The monkey definitely doesn't know.
The
only person that doesn't have the answer to that question is the fucking monkey.
Yeah.
He's like, I listened to the podcast with enough hard work and determination, I will be in this coconut soon.
God damn it! If it kills me,
I will reach that white milky center.
Oh no!
The frustrated, bruised, penised monkey.
Oh no!
That poor fella.
He's having a far off the risk.
Sorry.
But yeah, but to the people who are listening who are considering starting or experiencing that right now, where they feel like everybody else looks like this and I look like this, like I couldn't do a single push-up. I couldn't hold a plank for 20 seconds. I've had severe cardio and wind issues because since I was 13, smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And I didn't officially quit smoking cigarettes until my red sash, the sash before my black. And I mean, I had whittled down. I went from 2 packs to 1 pack to I quit for a month, I'm back for this. I quit for a week, I'm back again. A couple cigarettes a day, half a pack a day, back up to a pack. Struggled with it for like 5 years until I finally like crushed them up. And Jenny and I did it together, Jenny and I did it together and crushed them up and threw them away. And even then, like we had talked about in the last episode, I had been eating edibles and smoking pot, and that's not helping either.
Right.
And I didn't see anything wrong with it because I do believe in the medicinal aspects of marijuana. But John and I were actually going to check in because we talked about the sobriety experiment, and to briefly check back in with that, like I'm having dreams again. I ran a 7-minute 48-second mile last week. Yeah. I ran 2 miles in under 17 minutes. And
I mean this in a really good way because the time before that we were running together and you were like, you ran a better time partially. I was like, oh, probably because you're like keeping pace with me. And then the next time you ran your fastest mile ever was completely by yourself. I would stay downstairs and did bag work. You just went upstairs and just ran like your fastest mile, like just that's awesome. Like it's really,
So it's never too late. You're never too old.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you're like 95 years old and you got no legs, you're not going to be doing horse stance. You know what I mean?
95 and also don't have legs.
It's going to be hard.
Hard to do leg things without legs.
Yeah.
Before we continue on to the sobriety, the Sober January challenge that we're doing, I did have one more question for Ryan regarding beginners. What would you say is a good?
I'm sorry, that was a long rant. I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah,
we're just this is a long format show, brother.
Brother.
And I'm kind of intentionally formatting this as an interview because I'm a little bit on my heels mentally. So figured I'd point all the attention to you guys. I'm being candid.
John fell down and slammed his head yesterday. Went to the hospital, got a CAT scan. He's fine.
Yeah, we're good. I'm uninjured, just a little shaken. We're all right though. But Ryan, I wanted to ask you a question about beginners. What do you think is a mental toolkit that makes a good student, like a good beginning student? As in, what kind of mindset does a good beginner have in our school?
And well, to that point, there's already what's great about I think the current crop of beginners we have is like I can immediately think of some people
there's so much spirit in that class.
Yeah, there really is
so much spirit in that class.
I feel like we haven't had like an awesome a core crop of people like that kind of are all there at one time in one class.
No, we had to sift through a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, we did.
A little while
we
there.
did. For mindset and just kind of their kind of like essence, I would say a big thing is being open and inquisitive, genuinely wanting to learn and understand, and not being afraid or getting too beaten down by failing at something, and using those times of fucking something up to just want to get back up. Perfect example. I don't want to name their name, but we had someone, and I wasn't there for this, but I heard about it like in passing, which was like ridiculous. It's ridiculous to hear about in passing, but I heard about it at one of the SASH ceremonies where there was a beginner student who, during their first SASH test, just passed out, just fell unconscious in the back of the room. And
Yeah.
and they were just
What
like,
is
and they,
this?
and they were just like, they were like, where are they? And then the person
At the school.
Recently?
during
One of the
the
last
during the
tests.
last
Yeah,
the last SAS test.
Yeah.
That we were at?
No. I don't. It was
Oh,
the
most recent
the most
one.
recent test.
Yeah. Oh,
they
shit.
just like first test ever, been in the school for what, like
Couple months,
couple
and
months
they
maybe.
passed out?
And this particular individual was like, I'm going to do a disservice to the school by testing. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm telling you, from person who went for White Sash to person who's going for White Sash,
Yeah.
you're ready.
Yeah.
And they went, and they passed out. And the most important thing is, I don't know what caused it, but
I think it was probably exhaustion.
I think it was
exhaustion,
stress,
nerves. Yeah.
exhaustion. We weren't
Get
that
those
long into
butterflies
the
and that
test. The
lightheadedness.
butterflies, lightheadedness,
Yeah.
potential dehydration,
Yeah.
potentially not able to eat beforehand if you're too nervous to eat, something like that.
You
know,
need
that
snacks.
happened. That happened to me. The first couple of tests was like I was so scared that I would try to eat and I could take like 2 bites and I wanted to puke.
Yeah.
And like then you go in and you have an empty stomach and next thing you know you're woozy.
Yeah.
And after a break, a little bit of an evaluation, make sure they're tracking correctly. Do you want to come back in? Are you ready to come back in? Yes, 100%. And came back in and fucking crushed the rest of that test.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
For someone to only be training for that long, or for that short of a time period, and to kind of mentally get it. You know what I mean? Like mentally get the whole, because that's what, again, like, that's what this fucking shit is like. I mean, again, like once we get to black, it's just like whatever the fuck is happening, they're just like, just figure it out and keep going. At a certain point too, again, from like the beginning of my test, basically like, like both of my calves were like seizing.
Yep.
Where like anytime I would lift off my heels, they would just kind of like, I mean, they wouldn't make such a fun noise, but I would be better if they did.
Yeah, it would make it slightly more fun.
Yeah. Like if they just went, yeah. Wee, woohoo, woohoo, woo.
It's like train
Picture one of
horns.
those things. Remember those things you like turn it over and be like,
And at a certain point too, like I'm pushing through, and I remember later in the forums, we were doing wind staff, and you're doing the jumping, doing like an eagle kick or whatever, and I like landed, I'm like, oh, like, and he was like, we don't got time for that anymore, like let's finish this shit out, like let's keep going, and it's that type of, or like like you get, when you hit me in the solar plexus and I like couldn't breathe and fell, and they're like, okay, and they're like, come on, and they get you back up and they just throw your corpse back in.
What's
back
so
in there.
funny? Can we talk about that for a quick
Well,
second?
I just want to finish my thought.
Just a quick anecdote.
So I think back to your question, it's people being open and willing to fail and looking at it as not a stopping point, but as a real step moving forward and upward, and knowing that, because if they can get that now, they understand that never stops, and all that really changes is your perspective on it. Because again, we're always working on shit too. Like again, like stuff that beginners are working on, we're also diligently always working on. Like, hey, like when you're fighting, don't be square. Like we get told that shit all the time when we're fighting
a square, dude.
Yeah, and that's all, and that's also partially why he knocked the wind out of me that day, was because I was like square fighting him, and I was just like this, and he just
dude, that was crazy.
He just punched me in the chest. Yeah, I literally could only exhale. I just couldn't inhale at all.
At that moment, I think I told you already, when you fell, I was standing right in front of you, and like I touched your face, and I thought I poked your eye, because you're like, oh, and like you rolled over. I was like,
why, John? Why?
My bigger fear when I did that was what I was gonna say was Donna and Angelo. Okay, because
they didn't see that on Zoom. I asked them, they didn't see that.
They're watching on Zoom, right?
I
thought they were watching on Zoom, and also stressing basics again. All I did was pop into forward stance and punch you and pop back out. You know what I mean? So stance work is important. But like the whole time I'm thinking, like, next time I see them, they're gonna give me such shit about how I beat their baby boy.
You beat up the baby boy.
And I get there. I get to maybe a month or two later was I went and had dinner at your parents, and just his no.
Yeah, I was there too.
Yeah,
I took your parents on a date.
Me and Angelo were having lunch.
That sounds weird.
I don't like
the way
lunch
you
being
said.
so
I don't like how
slutty.
your eyes looked when you said that.
Yeah, why are you doing that with your
I
face?
took Angelo out for crepes and we had sex.
No.
I mean,
what?
What?
I went to Ryan's house. I went to Ryan's house for dinner with his family, and
why
the
am I
first
making
thing.
jokes about people fucking my dad?
No. Respectively means something different. I mean, he's over there, I'm over here. It's like,
Respect. Sorry.
The first thing that happens is Angela looks at me and goes, "I heard you hit him pretty good, huh?" And he was all happy about it,
like rolling up his sleeves.
Yeah, no. He was like, yeah,
Breaks a champagne bottle over your head.
No, but it wasn't a bad. It wasn't a bad thing. They got it finally.
He just has a bat. He's just the scout from what is it?
The Warriors?
No. What the fuck is that? Oh my God, what is that game?
The scout
from Team
Team Fortress.
Team Fortress. Bonk, doink. How you doing? Bonk. Sorry. Anyway, what's up?
PC gamers. Shout out
Team
to all of
Fortress.
you.
I could not think of what that game was called.
Never played it. Don't even know what it is.
It's a classic.
But
Classic.
But yeah, well, what I meant was they watched the full thing, but they somehow didn't see you do that to me. They didn't see that, and I was
blacked out.
Yeah, they didn't because they were like, yeah, they
blocked it from their memory.
Yeah.
My baby boy.
But yeah, I think it's having an openness for failure and growth and understanding that it's all part of the upward journey, that it's not just like, I did bad here, so that means I'm bad and I'm not going to get better. It's all part of you don't realize the ingredients that go into the process. That's what people don't realize when you're a beginner. You don't realize that the shitty feelings or the pain you're feeling is actually necessary for the growth that you're looking for. It's not like a road mark you're going the wrong way. That's what people and that's why people get lost off the path, is that they get pain or they get hurt. Or you think about how many people would have, at your level, were you at Orange Sash when your ACL tore? Mm-hmm. How many fucking people would have just quit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You realize that? And especially you.
I don't realize that, actually. I don't think about that at all.
Yeah, but that also speaks to where you were at the school, where it wasn't even in your brain to do that. You're just like, all right, I do this, and I get back on the horse, and I keep going. And it was like months of like, can't really sit in horse stance. Times you had to like your knee get tender or sore and aching. You had to step out of class.
Yeah, I had what I found out later was like the wrong surgery. I had the wrong surgery.
Just picture you come out. They just like,
well,
there's just an arm
they just
where your
reattach the leg.
There's just an arm where your leg should be. Like, fuck.
No, that's not what I mean.
That shouldn't be there.
So there's different ways they can graft a new ACL. And what I should have done was got a cadaver, but I was talked out of the cadaver, for various reasons. And one of the biggest reasons is rejection. I was afraid of the
Your body was going to reject.
I was afraid of the cadaver graft rejecting. So the doctor said, it's best to use your own tissue for that. However, if I used a cadaver graft, it would have been a Achilles tendon. It would have been 10 times stronger than my original ACL. Probably would have been fine. Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario, I would have had to take some anti-rejection meds for a little while. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if they would do that for that. So I'm speaking out of my ass right now. It's purely speculation. Mm-hmm. But instead, what I got was a patellar graft. Mm-hmm. And the reason I had so much pain and so many problems with my knees until I found Ben Patrick's Knees Over Toes guy Instagram and the ATG system and all the workouts there. The reason I had so many issues is because the patellar tendon is the tendon that connects your kneecap to your tibia, right? So it connects your kneecap to your lower leg. Mm-hmm. And they took the middle third of that, a piece of my kneecap and a piece of my tibia. And what they do is they remove these two sections of bone with the tendon in between. They drill a hole in your tibia. They drill a hole in your femur where your ACL was. They round the pieces of bone that they took from the kneecap and the tibia, and they use them as plugs and screw them in. And eventually the bone grafts and the ACL becomes the ACL, and then the patellar tendon fills in with scar tissue and the bone recalcifies. But even if you feel my kneecaps now, you'll see this kneecap isn't as big as this one. There's a missing piece right here. And because of that missing piece, I don't have as much protection over the soft innards of my knee. Mm-hmm. And I have issues with the flexibility of this knee. So like in a deep horse stance, you'll see that my foot wants to track in, and I have to really fight it to keep my foot straight. I really have to fight to keep a straight horse stance. Sometimes my knee just craps out. Sometimes I just have pain, you know? And it's because of the surgery that I got. And it wasn't until later somebody, you know, another medical professional was like, oh, you should have got the hamstring graft. You would have been fine. But I didn't get the hamstring graft because I was worried that now my hamstring was going to be fucked up forever. So I think no matter what, it's an injury. I think the way to go probably would have been the cadaver graft. But because of the type of surgery that I had and complications, and I was, you know, I was smoking a lot. And that really stops your body from healing. And I was a vegetarian at the time. And I was like, oh, I better eat fish again so I can fucking whatever. But I was living on mostly like pizza and fish maybe a couple times a week. And I don't really think I had the proper nutrition. I don't think I understood that stuff well enough. I think I was still kind of a slave to my vices.
Most people think when you start being a vegetarian, that means you can start talking to animals, but really just means you just eat a lot of Totino's, just cheese and sauce pizza rolls.
Yeah.
Instead.
Absolutely. 100%.
That's really what it turns into.
Yeah. It's
muscle
that,
mass just declines.
That microwave black bean burgers. You know, you wonder why you're gaining weight because everything is fucking salt.
Anybody that says
Just
there's
canola oil discs is what
anybody who's like there's protein in beans, it's like how much
It's
protein,
not even that. It's like,
you
what's
know?
the protein wrapped in, and is it bioavailable? And like all the good stuff that's in meat. Like there's amino acids in meat. There's choline in meat. There's stuff that you don't
There's creatine in meat.
There's creatine in meat. There's stuff you would need to supplement on a vegetarian or vegan diet. Come after me. I don't care. I'm right.
Yeah.
You know.
The facts are there.
I'm sure there's a right way to do it, but at the same time, like balanced diet. I don't believe in veganism the same way I don't believe that like all plants have defense chemicals. You know what I mean?
They do
like,
though. They know they're being eaten. They release the chemicals.
I just want them to wear
It's actually true. If a caterpillar is eating a tree, other trees, I forget how, will catch wind of that. And something happens in the trees where they change the flavor of their leaves. So there is some kind of weird, like through the mycelium in the soil, communication happening between trees that we don't understand.
There's one tree over there like,
help! Yeah. There's also, you can Google it right now. There's also articles of plants screaming.
Yeah. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Fucking this. We are bacteria living on a grain of sand floating in infinite nothingness. The world is fucking weird.
It is quite strange.
Existence is strange.
Life needs to eat life.
Yes, that too.
Everything nutritious was once living.
Fair. I do think though, just back to the point of just I think the core importance of basics for all of our, you know, more martial arts and martial arts practitioner listeners, you know, that you can never practice your basics enough. And this is one thing that our teachers say to us, and one thing that we say to the kids all the time, is that you are never good enough to get bored with anything, especially with training. Like we'll be working stuff with the kids, and like, you know, even again working horse stance or working, you know, the amount of times like when I'll do combos with them, a lot of times it's you know, like maybe I'll throw an elbow in at certain times. A lot of times it's like lead reverse, palm reverse, front kick. You know, it's like
Totally forgot I was on camera for a second. I'm like cracking my neck.
Yeah, you're in all of the shots, Ed.
You're literally in all of them.
What a shame. No wonder why we don't have that many followers.
Because of your face. Exclusively.
The ginger man.
I love my cut myself this morning, like fucking 35 minutes into an action movie cut I got going on right over here, you know.
Scar.
It's like it just started. I've still got like a dead guy's SMG and like a pistol. You know what I mean?
It's like right.
When's backup coming?
Yeah, it's like right after you're like.
I'm like in Die Hard right after he lost his shoes.
Yeah, like right after he killed like the Jeffrey Dahmer terrorist, like up on the guy with the glasses.
Yeah,
who he breaks his neck down the stairs. Can we talk about how fucked up that was? Like, he's like a normal guy, and he's like, you know, it'd be funny if I put this brother's corpse in a Santa hat and then write stuff in his shirt with his own blood. Ha 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 ha! And it's like, oh my god!
It's a great joke.
That guy was a New York City police officer at one point.
It's terrifying.
Guy's just unhinged.
Yeah, Bruce
completely
Willis.
Unhinged.
Watch out for that guy.
Listen, love cops, but if that guy's doing that guy should not be in law enforcement.
Yeah, no, that's a little.
Well, that's the funny thing too that I think about in movies all the time. It's like, you know, like the heroes in all movies commit atrocities, and because they're the heroes, we think it's
like,
cool.
yeah,
400 people dead by machine gun fire. Thanks, Rambo.
It's like, John Wayne, you genocide those guys. Genocide them good for us. And it's like, oh my god.
Throw that kid into the river.
Yeah. You know, apparently, just a very quick side note, that what I didn't realize, and I don't know if this happened to John Wayne, but I think it I know it happened to a bunch of people on movies that he shot, but a lot of those movies that they shot out west were like near or like very in close proximity to like nuclear bombing ranges.
Holy
so
shit.
a lot of people on the sets like got cancer like
Whoa.
years later and died.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's the 1950s. No one fucking knew anything. They
Yeah,
were just
it's
like,
true.
well, you know,
well,
it's fine.
Also, fun note about the Duke, John Wayne, Marion Morrison, was my grandmother's cousin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hence the mustache. It's got to be where it comes from.
Pretty much.
Wait.
John?
So you're related to John Wayne.
I am
John
related
Wayne.
to John Wayne.
That's pretty cool.
That's fucking bananas.
Pretty cool, right?
That is pretty cool.
One day I'll let you guys into the Illuminati. We can have a good time sacrificing children. Yeah. Just kidding.
We've just lost viewers.
Yeah, they've all left.
We're just there.
You're like, I knew it.
I knew it. But
We're living on the firmament. They're hiding God from us. Antarctica's a circle. The world is flat. It's like,
Thanks, Alex. Back to you.
But it's that you really can never practice them. You really can never practice them enough. And again, everything once you look at the fact and really accept that, yes, all the cool stuff that you want to do is all literally just garnish on like the entree that is fucking your basics. It really is your fucking.
always comes back to food.
It does.
I love
it
food.
It really is though your foundation of everything you know how to do and every way you know how to fight is based off of these what seem to be super simple techniques. That, again, whether you're stringing 4 techniques together, those are 4 techniques of basic that you're stringing together. Whether you're doing an animal style, those things are all just layered basics that have a little bit of an extra flair and kind of energy put into them.
Layers.
So layers! So practice your fucking basics, because that's what we try to do, and that's really what makes you, not saying that we're good, but from people that are good, that's what they tell us makes us good.
You can't do them enough.
Yeah, that's what makes good fighters, and I mean really good at anything, is just you understanding, having a complete fluency in the fundamentals. That's really what it is. Being a good martial artist is having an incredible fluency in understanding and being able to really practice and exude all of those fundamentals. That's really what it is. John's got to hold on one second. It's just ruining the podcast. It's very busy.
I just got to fix some things that aren't broken quick.
I just have to break them so I can fix them by breaking them.
Blank, 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 blank. So, Ed, at what point would you say a complete beginner, a no sash, is ready to move on to the next level of white sash?
When it seems like they want it enough that they can remember their basics without help.
If we're just talking about basics.
Yeah, I mean, it's an understanding of knowing and remembering and executing your basic techniques. They don't need to be perfect. They don't need to be perfect, but it's also but having the dedication enough at that point to be able to do things like their basic techniques in their introductory form, Shaolin stance form, with correct foot and hand placement. The stances don't have to be perfect. The hip rotation doesn't have to be perfect. There can be room to grow still, obviously, because there's always going to be room to grow. But it's like, okay, you're in an actual forward stance. You're not just like putting your heel up because it's physically easier. You're in a sitting tiger stance. You're not just like hunched over in a ball trying to crane strike up because you can't figure out how you don't have the discipline enough to control your body in a different way.
Right, and as far as a physical benchmark goes, what would you say that would be? As in, how many push-ups, how many sit-ups, how long do you need to hold a horse stance?
Well,
I think
it's like a minute, but it's like, that being said, everybody's different. Are you a 55-year-old with disc issues, or are you a 18-year-old with no issues? It's different.
And usually the amounts are, I think, similar or the same. It's just the quality or the execution that's acceptable is what is different based off of your. Because again, I think for white sash, I think it's like the normal 2-minute horse stance. I think it's like 20 push-ups, like
it's nothing insane.
50 crunches. I think
it's like basic physicality, basic fundamental physicality.
Yeah. And for there again, we're you know, anyone who is helping to administer the test, or even if we're helping to teach, it's really more of just seeing, again, outside of the mindset is the physicality of pushing yourself, trying to push your stances, trying to push your techniques, trying to improve every time you're doing them. And again, also, again, kind of back to that raw, grimy physicality of it, of like, how are you doing push-ups? How do your push-ups look? How do your crunches look? Do you stop halfway through and give up? Do you, if you fall down from doing horse stance, do you get back up and do it? But I think the actual markers for them are probably the easier thing to talk about, because again, it's usually for testing, it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of like what Ed said with those numbers, but it's what we're really looking for is
your mind right?
Yeah, is because the test is really testing your character, is really what it is, because physically you're not going to make it through the test not being tired. That's not possible. So it's testing it. It doesn't matter how good of a shape you're in. The test may be slightly less shitty for you, but it's still but if you're just gonna move it up to that level to make you equally as tired and fail physically in that way.
Yeah, and if you're some like personal trainer who's like in an excellent physical condition, you're still gonna have a hard time with certain techniques. And going for a white sash, if you breeze through a white sash test, fine. If you breeze through a yellow sash test, good for you, congratulations. Come high yellow, there's going to be enough material that you're going to have fucking problems. Because that's when shit starts getting hairy. Especially like the defenses against reverse punches, with the kicking techniques, with the execution of your basics and understanding therein. And then like also like there's some tests where they'll randomly be like, all right, do bag work for 45 minutes. Go ahead.
There was one test where that happened, where we were like waiting.
And then what we don't have a setup for in the school, that I had this thought yesterday. I talked to the beginners, and I was like, listen, you're here for 3 hours a week. 2 of those hours is like conditioning and technique in the basic class. Then the other one is self-defense and application. And I'm like, it's not enough time to get your body to the point where to be the warrior that you want to be. I'm like, so you have to make your time to work outside of class, to work out, to get your wind right, and to practice your material. All 3 of those things outside of the school. You can't just rely on showing up to class, which I did for years and wondered why I didn't make the progress and leaps and bounds I wanted to make. Like strong back muscles are important. There's not a whole lot of setup where we're pulling or we're doing things like that, because there also isn't the time. Like, we have a job to do. That's, my responsibility is to teach you how to have the mentality to go and train yourself, at least physically. Not technique-wise, not, learning forms on your own on YouTube. That's not what I mean. I mean, but you should have the mentality to know that, like, all right, I got $10. I'll have a Planet Fitness membership, and I'll go and I'll use a couple of machines 2-3 times a week, and know I hit all my body parts, and then still had enough steam in the tank to give 110% in class, And it took me knee surgery to learn that. I didn't step foot inside of a gym until knee surgery, because I needed to rebuild my leg. And that's when I kind of fell in love with lifting, and my body started to change a little bit, and maybe the holidays were too good to me, but still, like...
The holidays were good to both of us, brother.
Yeah, but that shit's going to change pretty soon. My body has always had a difficult time with weight and losing it. Like, some people just, even when I'm like I've been eating really clean, and you know what's happened to my stomach? Nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it takes me a while.
Well, my shits aren't liquid anymore, so that's good.
Oh my god, that's always been much healthier. But still, nevertheless, you know what I mean? Like, it's you have to figure that out. Like, if I could build a school, I would have a wall of ropes and pull-up bars to
TRX bands,
to add stuff like that in. Like I mean, we already do that. We already do the modern day. Like, like we don't pick up a rock.
Right.
And we do have exercises for that, and there are lots of ways that you're going to strengthen your back, and there are isometric things that you can do to strengthen things like that. So I don't want to get lost in that point. But the point being is, you only have X amount of time within the school. Right. You only have X amount of time within the school. You need to go outside of that and build yourself back up. Otherwise, class is going to break you down instead of build you up.
That actually ties in really well with the question I was going to ask both of you. So you basically kind of touched on it really well. So Ryan, I'll point this at you then. What was the first really big gap that you needed to cross as far as like preparedness and skill for a test, and how did you prepare for it?
I would say that one was probably First one was probably orange to green sash, which is
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Which,
I had a feeling it was gonna
yeah,
be that.
which is that really is like your first like real like big boy test is like that one, because the other ones like suck, like like your first intermediate tests of course are shitty because they're just like there's a different level of physicality that they're expecting from you because you're in the intermediate class, which has that expectation in class anyway.
And my high yellow test, Sisuk Igor had us doing. He was like, "Oh, you guys don't have nothing to do. You guys are done. Just do mountain climbers until the test is over. It'll be over soon."
Oh, that hurts me.
Yeah,
and I'm not even
I
there.
I didn't like that. But I that because that one is for basically any test that you have to do at the school. That one has the most amount of new material that you need to learn. There's three weapon forms and 2 open hand forms that you need to learn on top of more self-defense. Was it 5 rounds of sparring, right, for green? Right?
It's 3 for orange. So.
Then then
5 for green. So 2 more rounds of
3,
sparring,
5,
and also
7, 9,
different level of
10,
intensity.
16,
Different level of intensity with sparring, and also the nerves with that as well. Because there is kind of those nerves of like as you're getting into the test and you start, even if you get to see a black sash test or a red sash test and you see kind of what happens to them, with sparring, and you're like, oh, I'm starting to get up. Like you start realizing green, you're like, this is like my first like being in the advanced class test. Like this is like it starts kind of like getting real for you in that way.
Did my first give up on my green sash test.
You
it
did.
Was our green sash test.
It was.
Together, yeah.
And I think I prepped for that partially. I think I was doing privates. I actually think with Sifu Lloyd, I think I did some privates with him to kind of just get my shit down. And that was a test where mentally I was still, much less mature than I am currently, and I'm still working on that. But in the sense of like not getting down on myself, and like I remember, I'd be huffing and puffing, in the private, just like, because of course it would be like June, it was like 1,000 degrees, and I'm trying to do broadsword form, I don't know if you have this in the morning, but like if I'm doing like a private in the morning, you're so sluggish, and you're just like, like we were talking about the other day with like cardio, when you're hit like the first 3 rounds of bag work are like always shit, because you're just like, you're like cold starting your lungs, like it's like starting a snowblower you haven't turned on for like a year. Yeah, it doesn't work. And yeah. And that was
hit it with some starting fluid.
We're just all victims to like each other's ADD.
It's
like,
bad.
It happens 100% of the time.
Just gotta let it finish. Gotta let it
finish.
And that was a period where I was like, I literally was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. And he's like, you'll get through it. But it's very just like, yeah, you'll do it. Because that was something that I struggled with for a while. Even in playing soccer when I was younger, many times I'd just be like huffing and puffing on the field, like throwing my hands up, like, oh, fuck, and it would just completely pull me out of what I was doing and really debilitate me physically. But yeah, green sash was the first one, and I think again it took some privates for me to kind of really, because there's just so much material you need to learn, and it's. You're basically, not only are you learning all that material, but also two of the forms you're learning are for new weapons you haven't touched yet. That's the other thing. You're learning broadsword and butterfly swords as well. Excuse me.
And you want to talk about feeling awkward?
Yeah. So I think that one it took a lot of practice, and it took some kind of extracurricular practice as well through privates and things like that, and extra help to kind of make that happen. But yeah, that's the first real wake up call where you're like, oh shit, like it's your first time stepping into the system in the sense of like really seeing kind of what it is, in the sense of like that feeling like that we still get where we're like, oh my, like you learning, like the Dai Lohan in Black Sash class, where you're just like, fuck me, like this is like and I feel that way now. Again, since I got to Black Sash, it's been like I think it's been learning 4 or 5 forms simultaneously at the same time. Just
my god,
yeah, it's been crazy.
I can't even keep track, because like. Stuff falls to the wayside too when you end up having that much.
Yeah.
Like there's forms where I'm like, oh man, I haven't touched that in a while.
We have all the stuff at demo, all the demo forms, all that stuff.
And then the Sifu Guns form, double-headed spear form,
we gotta
and
go
then
over
there's
that.
the straight sword form that he taught that like I need to go over, and then there's the straight
C4
sword form,
rules.
C4 rules straight sword form I gotta go over. Then there's the I forget it in Chinese, but the small 3-section staff form, the shorter 3-section staff form is still like 3 minutes long, like
But I guess we are approaching a point where it's we're gonna need to wrap up pretty shortly. But
Anybody have any closing statements? Yeah?
I was gonna say before we go, is there anything you'd like to say to anyone who's interested in Kung Fu, wants to start up? Do you have any advice, any words you'd like to say to them? We'll start with Ed.
If your school doesn't fight, don't go.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah,
that's honestly,
if it's a Kung Fu school and they don't spar, and I mean like we've had this conversation before, like championships and trophies and blah 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 blah. There's fucking killers out there who've never seen the inside of a ring. They don't train because they want to compete. They train because they want to better themselves or because they just love it, you know. And I mean, most people who become Sifus have competed at some point in time just to make a name for themselves. But I mean, like, and yeah.
No, I think that's it's kind of shit that people need to hear.
Yeah, it's if you're not fighting there, if you've got to like go to a different school.
Yeah,
like if you're taking like 3 or 4 different martial arts so that you can like get your movement in and get your hitting in and get your whatever, you know, like it's you know, I've heard a lot about that, and like, you know what, if you're having a good time doing what you're doing, and I fucking love it, good for you, congratulations. But like, as far as Kung Fu is concerned, Kung Fu is a art. It is a movement art. It is a fighting art, but ultimately it is about killing and maiming your opponent. It is not about competition. It's not about point sparring. It's not about fucking just like, oh, it's just peaceful. You know what I mean? It's not about just like putting up great Instagram reels about like having demon hand but Buddha heart. You know what I mean? Like, it's all good. It's all good and it's all true. Yeah. But if you don't feel like if you don't feel like at the end of the day you're turning yourself into a human weapon, you're at the wrong place.
Yeah. Right. No, it's us as in us and us as in you guys, you know, as traditional Kung Fu stylists, like we need to, you know, it's time for kind of Kung Fu to come back into the fold of like being respected as a martial art, and part of how that happens is us holding ourselves and our systems and the places that we train to higher standards in the sense of what we're looking for and what, because if you're not learning to fight with your Kung Fu, then you're not learning Kung Fu.
It's time for Kung Fu to come back to what it really is, and not the watered down Mao Zedong fucking CCP version that they've been granted, and that there's bullshit artists out there. Because the real fighters, they're all training in the Sanda College. That's where all the real fighters are in China. Mm-hmm. You know, like, well, I shouldn't say all. I'm not there. I don't know about all. And Li Kam Wing is you know, a Chinese resident. Like, so there are good instructors out there. There are good Sifus out there. In other countries, I'm not saying all of them blanket statement. I'm just saying like a lot of what you see online, and a lot of like debunking. You know, we're debunking all Kung Fu. They're also cherry picking bullshit artists and putting them in situations where they have no choice but to fight. And
the problem with Kung Fu, with a lot of it not being the information being badly disseminated and taught, is that unfortunately they don't have to cherry pick that hard. Because it's actually because actually to find good people, you kind of have to cherry pick. That's really the problem.
That's it's, you know, diamond in a rough kind of thing. Diamond in the rough kind of thing. You know,
like how from what we know of, especially definitely on Long Island, but probably in New York State. I mean, even on Long Island, it's like our school, Sifu Raul's school, and like maybe 1 or 2 other Kung Fu schools that I can't, like, you know, that are like,
we don't train with them very closely, or I can't really think of anything.
But like in talking in like general New York State of like traditional Kung Fu schools who like actually fight and train A to B, you know the full spectrum of what Kung Fu is supposed to be for. It's not a lot. It really, really isn't. And there's so many Kung Fu schools out there that it's very easy and understandable and at times justifiable for people to think that Kung Fu is bullshit, because unfortunately, because our teacher says all the time, because a lot of it actually is.
Right.
And I think that's an important point to look at. It is if your teacher's like, yeah, you know, I listen, a lot of Kung Fu fucking sucks, you know, but ours doesn't, you know, and you know, so I think that's a very important point. But to your question with again, to beginners or people that are interested in Kung Fu, right? That was your question, right? People that want to get started.
What would you say to someone who is interested in Kung Fu, looking to take their first steps?
Understand before you even step into the school or step onto the floor that the feeling of failure or feeling of getting down on yourself is literally 100% part of the training. It's not a reaction to the training. It's part of the training. So you feeling like that is part of training. So it is not a those feelings are not a road bump or a pothole. They're like street signs telling you where to go.
Absolutely.
That's what they are.
100%.
So it's not like an immune response. I'm doing something wrong. Like, oh, bad feeling, don't do that. It's like no. It's like that is, you're not gonna, anything worthwhile is going to feel like that.
2 weeks ago, I said to the beginners, I'm like, listen, do you guys feel good right now that we had that classes, about what we did? And everybody was like, yeah, we had a good time. Like, do you also kind of feel terrible about yourself? And they were like, yeah, a little bit. And I'm like, well, then I did my job.
That's been,
it means you care.
I'd say that's been the biggest thing. Of course, we've had physical changes and transformations over time. We've learned new things, learned new forms, new weapons, all this shit. But I think the biggest thing that has changed for me has been my mindset on growth for myself. That's been the biggest thing that, as like a black sash, I can say, is that's been the thing that I can wholeheartedly say has changed tremendously. Is like, I don't really get down on myself that often. I'm not someone that's like in that negative mindset with Kung Fu. It happens with other stuff too, but it's like with Kung Fu specifically, I'd say I'm pretty consistently in a more positive growth mindset where I'm able to, because again, that's part of the training. Is it's like you get those negative thoughts in, but what's the Kung Fu that's happening up here? If you just let it in and be like, yeah, you're right, I'm a piece of shit, I'm not going to be fucking good enough, that affects your actions. That affects.
Stop talking about me.
That's why. Listen, that's why I'm also here, because I yell at you too.
Yeah, it's true.
But that's why we're here for each other, because we need to be yelled at. But
sure, it's true. I yell at you all the time whenever you're like,
yeah.
But the other thing, to your point, John, if there's no good Kung Fu schools near you, just look for a good school. If the best school near you is an MMA gym, and you want to train with people, go to the MMA gym.
Because there's so much value in just training good, high quality martial arts.
Right, exactly.
There's
And just like there's bullshit artists in Kung Fu, there's bullshit artists in karate, in taekwondo, in MMA, in jiu-jitsu, in BJJ, in fucking everything. Yeah. Everything. It's not the art, it's the artist. That's the point. It's not the art, it's the artist. It's you. It's how you train. It's what you put behind it, regardless of the martial art, regardless of the activity, regardless of the profession. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a massage therapist.
Absolutely.
We haven't talked about that in a while. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a massage therapist. I'm a body worker. You know how many people have absolutely no idea about the medical validity of massage therapy? The Congress actually just passed the No Pain Act, where the No Pain Act is going to be passing legislation and working with insurance companies to provide more massage therapy in response to the opioid epidemic, right? Because massage therapy has been proven time and time again to be more effective at the alleviation of chronic pain than opiates, right?
Oh, wow.
And so it's
that's awesome.
It's a knife on the side of pharmaceutical companies, and good.
I'm with it.
And it's a way we can really help and heal people.
All right.
Most people don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, absolutely. I didn't mean to cut you off, dude.
Most people don't realize how effective a good skilled massage therapist can be, and they come to me, and my new employee. You know what I mean? Like, she's another one where people are like, oh my god, you know, like shout out to Alyssa. You know, people don't realize it. Like, oh my god, like even though I have chronic pain, even though I have chronic injuries, fibromyalgia, herniated discs, bulged discs, poor muscle composition, diabetes that causes soreness, whatever it may be, like, it's like, you help me, and even when it starts to creep back in, then I come back. You know, and then then I'm good for days and days. Even if I'm sore for a day or two afterwards, like, by that point, like, it's wow, it's so much better. So, and people don't realize the effects because they're so used to hearing massage therapy about in spas and this, that, and the third. And I think it's the same exact kind of thing that happens with Kung Fu. People don't realize how effective it can be. People don't realize how real it really is. Right. And all traditional martial arts, you know, they all come from warfare. They all come from a place, well, I shouldn't say all, but they mostly come from a place where, you know, it was developed because it was being used in real life. Right. You know, a lot of the techniques in Shaolin come from generals who retired to the temple because they had no family. So they retired to the temple to be monks, and their entrance fee is the techniques and the war tactics that they know. You know, Shaolin is a war art. That's what it is. That's what wushu means. You know, so it's a war art. It's you know, it's there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and there's a lot of people who have the capability of dispelling those misconceptions. You know, but there's also a lot of really good salespeople out there. And again, this is something we've talked about ad nauseum, that, like, you could have 400 students. Doesn't mean your martial arts is good. It means everybody's having a good time.
Yeah.
You know. And if you want to go have a good time, then great. But if you want to learn real martial arts, look for the school that's got like 35 people.
Yep.
And sweat on the floor.
Oh,
That's the place to be.
Most of that sweat is produced by me, by the way.
That's also true.
At every school.
Yeah.
I'm just.
John has that much sweat.
I've got enough to go around. It's jarring. It really is.
We also said earlier in the episode, and I want to end without it, that we would touch base on how we've been feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to hear about that too.
So, would you like to begin? Because I just talked for a while.
Yeah, John,
Sure.
I'd like to hear about how.
Yeah, no problem. Well, Ed and I made the decision to spend January completely
made a
sober.
pact.
We made a pact.
Blood
Completely
oath.
sober. No beer, no alcohol, no pot, no nothing. And so far, I'm not gonna lie. Like during the day, during my waking hours, I feel optimized. I really do feel like I'm the better version of myself currently. Like I get a lot of stuff done. I'm very mentally focused. I don't put things off. You know, there's no like, I'll get to that later. You know, it's all just go. I find that perhaps by coincidence, my job has also amplified to a degree that I need to be more attentive, and I've been rising to that occasion. And I also had to deal with some nonsense with the Verizon people, and just at the same time that this happened, that was a several-day odyssey that I won't need to go into. Just it's paying for something I wasn't getting. It's pretty cool.
We got real fast internet now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I just feel like it. Like I said, during my waking hours, I'm really dialed in. The hard part for me though is winding down, because I'm peaking throughout the day. I'm just absolutely going nonstop. And when I settling down and being able to go to sleep and calming my brain, I don't really have the mental toolkit for that, to do that sober. It's very difficult for me. So I've been learning how to, as I destroy the microphone, I've been learning how to do that. And yeah, every day is a little better. I've had very intense dreams at night when I do fall asleep. And I also get frequent bouts of sleep paralysis, which, if you don't know what that is, it is horrifying. I've had about 3 this month, and it's not nice.
We are 9 days into the month.
We're 9 days in. Actually, no, I think it's the 10th, isn't it?
It is the 10th. We're 10 days into the month.
We're 10 days in, and a third of the month has
We are
been
9 nights in the month.
Yeah, and a third of those nights have been spent with me hallucinating somebody is grabbing me and choking me and coming into my room, and yeah, it's terrifying. But it's like a waking nightmare. So those come back. I used to only get them like every few months. I'm dealing with them now. And you know, as terrible as it may sound, I really do feel like this is a meaningful change that I'd like to stick with. Because I for as long as I can remember, I never went more than a few days without at least having a beer or two, you know, or at least or vaping a little bit or smoking a little bit throughout the day, and I'm not doing that, and I have lost a good amount of weight. I'm dialed in, and there's so many benefits, and the difficulties I'm experiencing, I believe, can be worked out over time. So I'm
That's awesome.
Just dealing with that currently. Yeah.
That's awesome to hear. Proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm on heroin right now. Actually.
I just want to go to sleep for about a week and a half.
It's just igniting a spoon. It's just like...
It makes your whole body feel like the tip of a penis.
What is like the true 5 gum?
Oh my God!
Just
An
passes away.
outdated commercial reference.
I know.
Yeah, no, I know people that have gone through that addiction, and those are the words they use. It makes your whole body feel like the tip of a penis, and it's like, I don't want to feel that way. That's a horrible thing.
I don't
want
to feel like I don't want to feel that way, because once I feel like that, I'm gonna probably always want to feel like that.
Yeah,
That's
That's
just
the
what
problem.
addiction is.
That's the problem.
I'd rather not be gooey. Thank you. Wait, what?
What? You need to go see a urologist.
I need help.
Listen,
What about you?
I'm not ashamed of my past. I've done a lot more than just fucking alcohol and weed in my life. So, and because of that, because I'm clean and have been clean for quite a while from harder substances, and from like severe overuse of marijuana and tobacco and alcohol, I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really thought like I was doing the right thing. I mean, like I drank, you know, significantly less than John was drinking at the time. If I drank once every couple of weeks, that would be it. But I smoke every day. I would a little bit, and then edibles at night. And you know, and like if I didn't smoke during the day, I would take smoke breaks. I wouldn't smoke during the day, but I would come home and I would eat an edible at night. And I was like, oh, I'm just a big guy. I'm a big, strong guy. That's
a big boy.
That's why I can eat 50 to 75 to 100 milligrams of THC and not freak out and die. You know what I mean? Like, Like, you know, like, but like I'm not Joey fucking Diaz. I don't need to be eating 250 milligram stars.
Cocksucker. Let's eat Top Secret. Fucking Momo.
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
Fucking Momo.
But you know, like I'm not those guys. You know, I live a different life. I walk a different path. There's nothing. I honestly don't think there's anything wrong with it. Still to this day, I just think for me, I have had a lot of issues that I probably need to be going to therapy for. That like once I have better insurance or more money in the bank, like I will be going to therapy for. It just isn't in the cards right now. You know, again, we have a lot of listeners in England. Like we don't have health care. You know, it's a fucking problem. So and like even the health care that we have, like Jenny's got the best medical insurance in the country, really, with the job she works for the state, and she's got one of the best medical insurances in the country. And it has like zero mental health coverage. Like we don't understand healthcare or mental health in this country fucking whatsoever. Climbing off my soapbox now, getting back to the point. You know, so if therapy was in the cards for me, and I tried the whole like I know they'll never sponsor us now, but like I tried the whole like BetterHelp thing, and what ended up happening was I spent $600 in the course of like 4 or 5 weeks, and I got one session. Because the schedules didn't line up with the therapist. I'm like, oh, try a different therapist. And it's like, okay, but then I got to wait another week for them to find another therapist for me. And they're still going to run my card on the 15th of the month.
And also, I love how they say that so willy-nilly. Just go to another therapist. Have you ever been to therapy? The idea of starting over with another therapist, that's exhausting.
You do have to form a relationship.
Saying, I had one session.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
And then the second session, I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, we'll have the second session with this guy. It'll be fine. And then he rescheduled. So he has the power to reschedule with me. And it's still going to charge me on the same date of the month. So, like, for me, like, I get it. I'm sure for other people, and like not to say that it doesn't help people, not to say that people don't have great experience, or not to say that the podcasts who are sponsored by them, because it's a very, very popular sponsorship for a podcast. You know, it's very popular. Not to say anything against those people either, because you know what, they probably don't use the service, probably just hear about it and they think it's great. But my personal experience with it wasn't a good one. You know, if they want to come to me after they hear this and fucking change my mind, fine.
I think they want to fight.
But like they
want to fight.
That's okay. Fucking sign a waiver.
Sign a waiver.
Sign a waiver, bitch. No, but
so back
like,
to the month.
I love that.
Yeah, so you know, I discussed in the last episode, you know, like my dad and being in jail and things like that, and you know, I'm more comfortable being open with that. That's been something going on my entire life that I've always had issues with, you know, weight, bullying, things like that. I've had a lot of psychological trauma, and because of things that have gone on in my past and in my life, you know, and I, since I'm 14, have been using these things as a crutch for that. And now for the first time in my life, this is the longest I think I've ever gone. You know, it was like the longest I've ever gone, because if I wasn't smoking pot, I was drinking a lot. If I wasn't drinking a lot, I was smoking pot. It like I don't remember a time in my life where there was a gap from both. I don't. I really honestly do not. So I would say this past couple of weeks is the first time in my life that like I am totally like, you know, like we used to call it like straight edge, you know, like straight edge, like nothing, no nicotine, no alcohol.
X's on their hands.
X's on the hands, God. But you know, no alcohol, no THC, no psilocybin, no nicotine, nothing. Absolutely nothing. You know, and I'm kind of fucked up. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not having a good time. I'm not. To be frank, it's difficult. Like I'm having wild dreams. I haven't had dreams like this in forever. Like they don't make sense. You know what I mean? I was vacuuming a fucking lawn last night. Okay, like they don't make sense.
I was alphabetizing my sock drawer.
And you know, like, but at the same time, it's my brain kind of like trying to like, because like dreams is your brain. Like kind of like defragging. Remember when you used to have to defrag PCs?
You can still do that. Yes.
Okay, I have a Mac, so fuck you.
You can do that on the Mac too.
I'm more superior than you. I have a Macintosh. It's 10 years old, but that's fine.
The show is made with a PC.
But my ADD is fucking kicking in. But even that, you know. But I am more productive. I have cut more reels for the Instagram. I am jumping on things I would normally put off. I am more able to overcome my laziness. I am employing somebody now at my office and setting things up and like actually like doing things between. I didn't realize, like I thought I was just tired from stuff, but it was probably because like I would wake up in the morning and have severe anxiety and be like, oh, better smoke a ball, I'll feel better, you know. and then I would be fine, and then I wouldn't for the rest of the day until I got home. But I think even that was affecting me. And I was preaching this thing about moderation and preaching this thing about like it's okay every once in a while, but here I am, a hypocrite. And I'm also in a big way realizing how much of a hypocrite I was, and also having to deal with that, and also having to deal with that sober, which how much my own enemy I can be. And so it's been hard. It's been hard on Jenny because I'm an asshole sometimes. She's even said like, God, I wish you would just smoke pot and shut the fuck up. Like, because it can be difficult. And like, but I think because it is difficult, it is necessary. I think if it was easy, it meant I didn't have a problem in the first place. And I think because it is difficult, it is a testament to just how much I needed to do this. I think I'm learning lessons about myself, and I think I'm figuring things out about me that I never would have given myself the opportunity to discover. And I think that I am now in a position where, much like when you're sparring and you like got to figure it out, like I am now in a position where I am forced to do battle with my demons in a upfront and very, very impactful and real way.
I've described it in the past as like when you that like beer or two at the end of the day, or a few puffs on the vape, that's a place to hide.
Smoking a joint, eating an edible, and being like, while I'm cooking dinner.
That's the place that we would hide.
Yeah.
And,
yes. I didn't realize it. I lied to myself for many years.
And recognizing that difference, and like now there is no place to hide. We're out in the sun. And
I am a ginger.
The last
that's
place
not
Ed
a good
needs to
place.
be.
Yeah. I need sunblock. God damn it.
And the next CVS is 14 miles away, so you got to walk it.
God, it sounds like Ryan and I. Side note: Ryan and I over the summer, well, he's like, "Yeah, let's go for a short walk." And next thing you know, we've been gone for 2 hours. I'm like, "Where are we?" He's like, "Oh, we're 3 towns over." I'm like, "What? How'd this happen?"
We're in literally Connecticut.
We're in Waterbury.
How did we get
Waterbury.
there? I played hockey in the Waterbury Hockey League. That's cool that you bring up Waterbury. Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah. But anyway, and also before we close, just we mentioned it earlier, I just want to wrap that up too. Just about getting concussed last night. That was pretty cool. Unless you had more to wrap up with what you were saying.
No, I mean I think I made the point.
Yeah,
cool.
I think so too.
Yeah, just a really brief story. We were training last night, bounced my head off the mat. Saw sensitivity to light. Was a little dizzy, a little nauseous. I was like, this feels like a concussion. So I wound up going to the clinic. They said, you're concussed. You need to get a CAT scan. It's 11 o'clock at night. The only place to go is the ER. So we just want to rule that out. Go get yourself a CAT scan. I'm all good. A little frazzled. I'm a little dazed. I'm okay. Just more lethargic than anything today.
John took a shit in the sink today. So
yeah, I don't know what's going on right now.
John said I'm making breakfast and shat in the sink. So.
Yeah, but your boy feels good. It's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I know. I just wanted to wrap that up and make sure our listeners knew what the hell was going on with that.
Important to learn how to fall down.
Yeah. We're getting there, and I learned how to do it differently, which is wrong in this system. I need to relearn that. But guys, anything before we go?
We love you. Thank you very much. We have a second patron, so thank you very much to our second patron.
We only know his handle. We don't know. Do we know his name?
I don't know his name. I know his handle.
Yeah,
I don't want to say it.
But you know who you are, and it means the absolute world to us. So it's
everybody who's
those
bought
little
a
wins
t-shirt
like that
and a hoodie,
are really, really cool.
Like just any little bit of support. Because, like we're coming, I know we talk about teaching classes, but like, we're not Sifus. We're students.
John's more asking us these questions just from our our experience in the sense of like, not like my experience, but like my what I see. It's not, we really are, we're still trying to figure all this shit out. We are, again, this is, I know we say it all the time, but like, this is a project for us. Like right. This is like we have selfish interests in doing this as well.
The platform by which we are operating the show on is located on the ground level. We are amongst everyone else.
Yep, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So this is it's a that's why I call it an accountability project. It's not a presentation. It's a project.
Right.
We perpetually have New York City scaffolding around us.
Yeah, we're just under construction permanently.
Yeah. Yep. So. Yeah, I guess again, just knowing that the suck and the shitty feelings you feel when you're trying to do something new are integrally important to the process of getting to where you want to go. And again, they are not speed bumps; they are road signs directing you in the right direction. A lot of the time. But having the introspection to know what's what, and the self-knowledge is important to direct you along the way. So
Right. You know, they say nothing worth having ever came easy. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to our Instagram followers. Thank you to our Discord members and to our patrons. And this has been the Martial Mind Podcast.